withholding tax for your taxes to be paid. You see, for instance, if say you're earning from YouTube, there is no way government is going to know how much you're earning, and you don't qualify for what SMEs qualify for because they do a turnover tax. So if you register your YouTube as an SME, then the withholding tax doesn't apply to you. You now go to turnover tax. But because most people will not want to do that because you pay more, then you qualify for digital tax, which is different because then you pay a withholding tax.
We're already paying taxation to the countries where these sites are domiciled. Like now, YouTube is already taxing me every time they're giving me money. So America is making my tax. So you want me to be taxed twice, bro?
No, bro, but your account is US.
No, it doesn't matter.
Put your account in Kenya.
No, you see, every YouTuber is being taxed by the US government. Every YouTuber, doesn't matter where you are in the world, every YouTuber is being taxed by the US government. So you guys should be talking to YouTube, right?
True. Yeah, you see that now. That's a very good. Very good angle you've brought in terms of foreign companies with global presence, but with a Kenyan specific presence. Now, when you come to Kenya, you have YouTube Kenya registered. So if once YouTube Kenya is registered, it means that YouTube is paying some taxes to Kenya as a business, and we also pay. Remember, we also do advertisements with YouTube, and that's how the CPM improves because the country content creators are paid depending on the CPM, which is the aggregate calculation of the amount of adverts a country gives a social media platform, especially YouTube uses CPM. So on that basis, the taxation that we are talking about here is from the content you make. That if your content is Kenya specific, for instance, say for instance you're doing content like my friend Edwin Butita, who is doing Nath Toto, which is a Kenyan program done from here. He's using Kenyan guys, so he's paying them a salary. So they're paying income tax. He can't escape from it, even if it's YouTube based. And that's how this tax comes in. So the expenses he gets, he's able to check it off of the 5%. So in essence, he can make the 5% zero by deducting the costs that he has, because it's a country tax. It's not a platform tax. We are not taxing YouTube. We are taxing Kibe as a Kenyan who has a PIN number. So the 5% is specific to what you do.
Your tax, yeah, I get that. I get the production cost and everything, but I'm already in bed with YouTube. So if I'm paying all that is happening between me and YouTube, I don't need you as government to come in between that. So why are you coming in between instead of you going to YouTube telling them whatever Kibe makes, give us 5% of that? I mean, you can do that. So because they're already taxing me in their country. Same thing with the Patreon and every other website.
That what you're talking about is the other tax, which is 1.5%. That one I totally agree with you, should be done away with. But the platforms themselves told us that we need to wait for them to make a decision. I'm hoping they're going to meet by December. That we are going to do away with. That 1.5%, I also believe it's unnecessary. That's the platform tax. I don't necessarily agree with it. But the professional tax, Kibe, I mean, if you're a doctor who just treats people by YouTube, so they come, they have done an X-ray, then they come on YouTube and show you the X-ray, you interpret for them and you charge them. We are not charging you for using the platform called YouTube. We are not charging you for being on YouTube. We are charging you for the service, which is taxable. And that tax, we are actually saying, is expense deductible. So it is not a tax that necessarily, if you're actually making money, you're able to use your expenses and do away with it and pay less. So I think what is lacking here is also a tax education thing. We have a lot of people using, most content creators, the ones I've met, don't even understand how taxation works. So to do skilling for taxation, so that they can understand if you buy airtime, it's actually a tax deductible on your 5% withholding tax. So that when now the money, if you understand tax deductible and consumables and expense.
So how are you guys going to get the money from us?
Well, it's we have already started getting money from you guys, by the way. So one of the ways is how you file your taxes. I mean, if let me use Butita because he won't have issues with me using his name. If you're Butita and you buy a house and your only income is from YouTube, then you're able to see what you're doing with the money, and from there we are able to ask for what is due to the taxman. So there's expense angle on what you do. And in any case, it's easier to do tax filing than to avoid, because it catches up with you later.
Oh, so you guys don't know how much we're making?
We do. I'm just being diplomatic. Would you imagine we don't, Kibe?
How would you know? I mean, all that information is with.
I mean, YouTube is paying money here, and that money is coming to our economic bit, and we have a view on everything in the banks. We have a view on everything on M-Pesa. I mean, it's easy to know.
So why not?
When YouTube pays, you know.
Why not just then deduct it directly from our accounts?
Because YouTube is paying from an international account which is taxed in the US. So they are paying a tax to the US. But when they come to Kenya and they pay Kenyan content creators, they have paid, it's an expense for them, which they account in the US to get their deductions. So we can only come to the people they have paid. Those are the Kenyans. Even remote jobs. I mean, we have now almost 1 million Kenyans employed on remote jobs. You're at home working for LTV Plus, you're at home working for Upwork. We can only reach that money and we are not yet perfect, by the way. We are only doing 30% of that. But with time, within a year, we'll have gotten at 100% because we are automating our systems. Why this has not been an issue is because government for a long time had not automated its processes.
I still see the double taxation, even as much as you try to squeeze yourself out of that one. I still see there is double taxation, but I will not pursue it further because I want you to take that message with you. What about TikTok? What are we doing about TikTok?
So TikTok is actually in town. I've met them, and today they met the CS for Sports. They also met the Kenya Film Classification Board. So TikTok, we have two agreements. One, we must moderate content. I mean, from 11, that platform is purely porn.
Mm-hmm.
So we must find a way to regulate it. The problem there is that these are live sessions. It's very difficult to moderate live sessions, but it's possible to pull out of the platform people involved in that kind of content. That is also a form of moderation. Because surely we must have some moral aspect to the use of our platforms. I mean, there are many things we can do on TikTok. I mean, we can make money selling houses. We can make money teaching people how to do taxation. You can make money doing many other things. Porn is not something that government can encourage. It must belong to the dark web.
That's who we are, bro.
In the US, yes.
No, not in the US. In Kenya, because as soon as TikTok had that option, it's been on IG, it's been on TikTok, and it's been on Twitter.
Every time it appears on Twitter, we flag it down. Every time it appears on Instagram, we flag it down. It is impossible to do it on TikTok. And that is why we're telling TikTok, you must come up with a content moderation plan. And by the way, Kibe, this helps us to get jobs for Kenyans. The content as it is now is not getting jobs for Kenyans. But if we push for a content moderation aspect, we get a TikTok office with Kenyans employed in all languages so that we do content moderation. That way, we managed to get almost like 2,000, 3,000 jobs in Kenya. Facebook has done it. We have had a BPO of Tattoo City called SEMA, which has been doing content moderation here for the whole of sub-Saharan Africa. We can do the same with TikTok in Kenya. There is no other way to squeeze jobs but to create something. And that fits our moral status and also creates an economic plan.
Why not create our own TikTok and our own YouTube?
I totally agree. And that's on plan. I mean, I always ask myself, what happens when YouTube is no longer there? What happens when Facebook decides now Kenya is a hostile market? So yes, there is a plan. But you see, how do we create it? It cannot be government. It has to be private sector.
Seriously?
What?
I just heard you get hard.
So we are encouraging private sector to come up with it.
What else are you encouraging us to do that you know that we should be doing?
One of the things that we must appreciate is remote jobs. So the other day I was in Nakuru, and after encouraging some group of youths, a certain middle-aged, 50 to 60-year-old woman approached me and told me the son was actually having a job at LTV Plus and was earning some money, but he doesn't believe that is a job. She doesn't believe that is a job. So I asked how much is the son earning, and he told me the son is earning 170,000 shillings. I was telling her, if they're earning by just being at home or even remaining in their bedroom 170,000, they won't earn that even in a very good job in the office.
Yeah.
I mean, you are at Kiss here. You know how much these guys pay most of the reporters there at Star.
Me personally, I wouldn't take this level of disrespect.
So, I mean, if you can earn this money off at home, we need to encourage people to start appreciating there is